Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Utah Assistive Technology Program's online training, Assistive Technology for Low Vision. Today, our presenter is Carl Smith, excuse me. And in just a few minutes, I'm going to let him introduce himself, tell you a little bit about what he does and what he'll be talking about today. But before I turn the time over to him, I'd just like to go over a few business items with you. First of all, if you plan on leaving the training early, please don't forget to fill out an evaluation and send that back to me. I emailed the evaluation out to everybody yesterday or this morning. Or you can also download the evaluation from the screen that you're looking at by clicking up in the upper left-hand corner where it says UATP AT Demonstration Evaluation Form. So there's two ways to get the evaluation form. If neither of those ways work for you, let me know, and I'd be happy to resend it out to you or whatever you need. And then also, throughout the entire training, please feel free to ask questions. And to do that, you'll click on the link also in the upper left-hand corner. It says UATP Ask a Question link. And you can type in your question, and I will be able to see that question and read it to Carl. And please don't be afraid to ask Carl to repeat something. He said he's happy to repeat something if you didn't quite hear it or whatever the situation may be.
And if you're a screen reader user, how do you ask a question?
If you're a screen reader user, go ahead and just talk through the phone line, just like the way you just asked the question now.
Okay,
That's
thank
perfect. Okay. With that, I will turn the time over to Carl Smith, and the training will last approximately until 4:30, give or take a few minutes probably. So Carl, we'll turn the time over to you.
Thanks, Heather. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon. I'm glad to know that there are some people out there, hopefully, to watch the presentation and listen to the presentation. I recognize Sandy there asking the question. That's good, and that is a good way to ask a question. I actually appreciate it because sometimes I feel a little bit like I'm talking to myself here because it's sort of like being on TV and everybody's out there and I'm in here, and the interaction is a little bit different than I'm used to when doing training. A couple of things, as Heather said, if you have questions, please ask them. The other thing also, and this happened because of the last presentation we did, someone said at the last one afterwards that when I was using audio, which we did last time with the screen readers and things, that I talked over them and they didn't hear them always. I wasn't aware I did that. I'm not surprised that I did it because sometimes I do those things. If you have a problem or a question, I would rather you text or ask your question, click the link there and ask the question and say, hey, you're talking over something or whatever. If I'd have known that before, I would have tried to avoid it. I didn't know it, and again, the interaction is a little different because it's being a broadcast where I'm sort of in this room with a couple of people talking to, I don't know how many people who are out there. I did get a list of the people who had signed up to attend this meeting, and I appreciate having that because some of you I know, some of you I don't, but the ones I do know, I have some idea of what your background is, so I know a little bit about what you may know or not know about low vision. Some of the things we do today may be elementary to some of you. I apologize for that, but I want to make sure that we have a clear understanding and background of what we're doing today. The session will go, as we decided before we started here, until 4:30 or until we're done, whichever comes first, because I don't believe in having a meeting last longer than it needs to. If we're done by 4, we'll be done. If we're done by 4:30, we will be done because that's the time we're going to stop. But you know, we don't need to absolutely stay here just because we said we would if we're finished. Again, my name is Carl Smith. I'm the owner of Access Technology. I sell all kinds of different products for people who are blind or have low vision. I sell screen reading software, as those of you who might have been here last month know, that make the computer talk and so forth. I sell Braille devices, low vision devices, software, hardware, all those kinds of things. And I also do training as well. my biggest pet peeve in this whole industry is that sometimes we do a lot of equipment purchasing, but we don't do much training. I've seen some systems, school systems and rehabilitation, others are happy to spend $10,000 on things, and I'm happy for you to do that, by the way, but they'll buy equipment and then they don't want to pay anything for training, and that's really unfortunate because some of this stuff requires a fair amount of training. Fortunately, it is a little less so for low vision products. The products we're going to talk about today are relatively easy to use. The computer interface products may be a little bit more difficult, but the low vision products, it doesn't really take an awful lot of expertise. It does take some practice, and there are a few common sense things to know about with using them. During the presentation today, I have my assistant here. His name is Vanna White, not really, but he's Neil. He's my driver, assistant, box hauler, whatever you want to call him. I told him he gets to be Vanna White today because he's going to do some things on the low vision devices. As I'm a totally blind presenter, I can't use them like I used to, so he's going to show them as I describe to you what they do, and I'll have him do some of the different features and show you some of the different features of the products we have here. Before we get into the specific products, I want to go over just a couple of things with you about low vision. Low vision is, I think, frankly, a lot more mysterious to some people than total blindness is. Somebody says to me, or used to say to me when I had some vision, well, how far can you see? Well, I could say so many light years. I can see that star out there. So I can see that, you know, however many hundred light years that is. I can see the moon, so I can see 250,000 miles. It isn't so much distance that matters, although sometimes it does, but distance isn't really the measure. It is sometimes size and contrast and brightness and all of those things that can make a difference to low vision. Low vision comes in a lot of flavors, and people, again, have a hard time understanding that. I'm not going to go into medical descriptions. I don't know all the medical descriptions, but I do know some basic different kinds of low vision issues that come along. Someone, as I did, who had cataracts when I was born, generally has a very blurry vision field. Unless the cataracts are removed and correction is put in place, you can see rather blurry. You may see things, objects, colors. You may even be able to read larger print, but it is not very clear. Someone, the typical customer that I run into, is probably not on this list today, although I did see a couple of people who were coming to this session from independent living centers. They probably see most of these kind of people, and those are seniors, people who are over age 55, or in my case, now I'm 53, so that'd probably be over age 70. I think of as a senior now. But anybody who's older and is beginning to lose vision, typically with what's called macular degeneration, sometimes also cataracts, which happens at the same time. The cataracts can generally be taken care of. The macular degeneration cannot. Those people, macular degeneration typically is, well, it is the most widespread cause of blindness in people over age 55. What it does is the center portion, that is the macula, the center portion of your retina, begins to deteriorate. And it causes a blind spot, and your vision begins to deteriorate from the center out. And so as your vision deteriorates, you develop a blind spot in the center of your vision. And that blind spot will get larger and larger as time goes by. And I like to describe it basically, if somebody were to take a penny, those of you who can see in this audience, if you take a penny and hold it up to your eye, it blocks off the whole eye. If you hold it out to your arm's length, it's a little tiny piece out there, and you can see it's not really going to bother you out there. And that's what macular degeneration does. It destroys the central part of your vision. Macular degeneration can be ameliorated, or you can get around it some with magnification. That's the primary audience that I deal with for private sales, are people with macular degeneration, because magnification, if you use the penny analogy again, if I can magnify the print large enough, it in effect makes that blind spot in my central vision like the penny. It makes it smaller in relationship to the size of the print that I'm looking at, or the object I'm looking at. And so I can see around it and see that print or see that object. On the other hand, another cause of blindness, which starts generally when you're younger, is called retinitis pigmentosa. Now, there are lots of different names for that, similar types of problems to retinitis pigmentosa and macular degeneration. There are other eye conditions that cause some of these problems too, but these two are the most common that I'm aware of. Retinitis pigmentosa is just the opposite of macular degeneration. It starts and destroys your vision from the outside and works its way into the center. So as you go along, maybe at the beginning, maybe when you're younger and it's just starting out, first of all, you may not have a problem at all. You may be able to see just fine. Then as things get a little worse, magnification might help to some extent. Some people with macular degeneration, retinitis pigmentosa, certainly in the early stages, even when their vision deteriorates a fair amount, the actual visual acuity is pretty good. It can even be 20/20 or 20/30 or so, but it's only in the central part of your vision. So think about looking down a toilet paper roll or a paper towel roll, and you can imagine a little bit about what retinitis pigmentosa is like. You may have perfectly normal vision, but it's only in that little tiny round circle or little tiny spot in the center of your vision. The worse it gets. Eventually, it will generally become total blindness, as most people I know that started out with it ultimately end up losing their vision, or at least enough of it that they don't. It's not going to be worth much to them. Magnification is actually an enemy to that kind of vision loss. Imagine again if you're looking down that paper towel roll. If you look at something on the wall, you will see a little piece of it. If it's a small object, you might see the entire thing. If somebody then magnifies it 2 or 3 or 4 or 10 times its normal size, now all you're seeing is a little tiny piece of it. And it actually makes it worse. It makes it harder to read print that gets magnified. So sometimes magnification isn't the answer. In fact, like I said, it can be the enemy. Some of the other things that deal with low vision are colors. Certain people, and sometimes this happens with macular degeneration or retinitis pigmentosa or other eye diseases or eye disorders, certain colors become difficult to see. You may look at a paper that has red on it and you can't see the red at all. You may look at something and not be able to see green or what other colors. Sometimes that happens. It's not exactly color blindness, but it is a problem where certain colors don't show up well. And so if you have print in that color, it may be very difficult to read. We have things that are built into the equipment that we're going to show you today that will help to compensate for some of that, and we'll show you how those things work. Sometimes people prefer to look at things in different colors entirely. Maybe they can see better with yellow print on a blue background, for example. Maybe that looks really good to them. Maybe it looks best to have white print on a black background. Another thing that can affect low vision and usage of your vision is contrast and brightness. If something is too bright, and I've run across this with video magnifiers, which is what we call these television devices, or is the current sort of politically popular term now is video magnifiers. You may hear them called CCTVs. That's what we used to call them in the old days. It stands for closed circuit television. It's really more descriptive to call it a video magnifier. Sometimes you'll hear them called electron magnifiers. But they have the ability to control a lot of the factors that make a difference in whether or not it will be easier for you to see through with your low vision or not. They can control, of course, the size. They can control now the color. They can control the brightness and things which will make a difference to you as a low vision user. We will also spend some time looking at a product, well, a kind of a combination of products dealing with the computer. I think we're going to be able to work this out. We ran into some fun technical difficulties just before we started today, and we have I believe, found the best compensation or the best way to get this done. I'm hoping that the camera will be able to show the computer images as best we can today. We're going to look at magnifying the image on your computer screen and doing some things to help you to find things on the screen. Also, we're going to look at video magnifiers that work in conjunction with the computer and let you use the computer for double D. That is, be able to look at the magnified image of the computer as well as a magnified image of the camera. So we're going to do those things today. And if you have questions or other things, I know some of you out there do a lot in low vision. If you have comments or something which you think I should pass on to people, I'm happy to do that. I'm a former user of low vision equipment. I never had normal vision in my life. I was always a legally blind person. I guess now I'm illegally blind because I have no vision. But I was born with cataracts and ended up with a retina detachment, which is what finally took my vision. But I used magnifying glasses. I used the first video magnifier that I ever had or ever saw was in 1976, which was the first one they came out with, or at least the first one that the public had. And it was if you'll pardon the expression, an eye-opener for me, because it was so exciting to be able to sit down and actually read a print book comfortably. Beforehand, I had to use my glasses and magnifiers, and it wasn't something I did, although I love to read, I couldn't do it for hours and hours at a time without seriously affecting my headache quotient and so forth. Most of my customers, again, will be older people, and typically the customer I run into has a drawer full of magnifying glasses. This person has probably bought some. Maybe the daughter has brought one in, or the grandkids brought one in and thought, hey, Grandma, Mom, I thought this would work for you. Typically they have a drawer full of magnifiers. And now they're to the point where they don't work anymore. And we're going to talk now about video magnifiers that bring on the extended features which do not, just aren't there with magnifying glasses. I tell people that by the time you call me and want to see the equipment I have, if you use a handheld magnifier, you use it for what I might call desperation reading. That is, you look at this piece of mail to see, is it a power bill or a piece of junk mail? If it's a piece of junk mail, I can throw it away. If it's a power bill, I'll save it until my neighbor, daughter, whatever, comes over and helps me read it. But you're not going to read a book. You're not going to read anything for pleasure. It's going to typically going to be a desperation type thing. Before we go on any further, does anybody have any questions about what I've said, or comments or corrections or anything? Anything, Heather, over there?
No questions here.
Okay.
Although, can I just make a comment that
Sure.
those participants that are on the phone, we just want to let you know that we can hear everything, all the background noise, so that's coming through on our end, just so that you're made aware of that. Thanks.
So don't say anything bad about us. Okay, we're going to start off here. First of all, I'll have Neil come over and show you. Now, the machines I have today, I should tell you, are all from a company called Freedom Scientific.
This is Sachin. Can I interrupt real quick?
Yeah.
All those who are on the phone, to mute your lines, press *6 twice, and to unmute, press *6 twice again. So to mute, *6 twice, and unmute, *6 twice again. Thanks.
Okay, do the people on the phone all hear that? Apparently, somebody did. Okay, *6 twice, turns it off, *6 twice, turns it back on. Now my question is that *6 or *6?
It's *6.
Okay. Okay. The products that I have today, as I said, are all from a company called Freedom Scientific. There are a lot of products out there. These are the ones that I sell. I also sell some other ones too, but I brought a sampling of the different types of products that are out there. We have here a couple of desktop models. One which we'll talk about first is called the Topaz. We have one called the Onyx desk set, which is a different design. Then we have another one which is connected to my computer, which is called a PC version. And then we have a couple of little tiny ones which we can just show you what they do. They're handheld type units. These again are made by Freedom Scientific. There are other companies that make similar products, but this is pretty much the type of product that they have out there. There are some others you might run into. There are some systems that actually have like a helmet or a head-mounted unit. This is now Carl's opinion mode. I think most of those things are cool to look at and pretty much useless to buy. People tend to want to think that it's a good idea, but if you walk around with a helmet on or a head-mounted CCTV on, if you try to do much moving around with one, believe me, you're going to find it real exciting when you find that the things are closer than you thought they were or further than you thought they were. It's very difficult. There's never been, to my mind, a really good head-mounted system. I've looked at a lot of them. A lot of companies have tried to get me to sell them, and I've never found one that I thought was really particularly great at what it does, although the theory and the idea seems like a good one. So I'm back out of Carl's opinion mode now. Those of you out there may disagree with me, but that's just my opinion. We're going to start out first of all with the Opal. I'm sorry, with the Topaz. And I'll have Neil go to that one and take one of my brochures so they can all see this lovely brochure that I have. And where is it?
It's on this side.
Is it on this side now? Okay. This is a 19-inch. This Topaz system has a 19-inch flat screen color monitor on it. It is one of the things that is unique, well, not unique, but one of the things that is now sort of common in the industry is these machines have been designed very simply. Those of you who've been around as long as I have may remember some of the earlier ones, which had all kinds of switches and knobs and things on them for all sorts of neat features. And they discovered, actually it was Telesensory that did some actual research on this back in the 90s to find out what people really used and what they didn't use. And they discovered, after they'd been building all these fancy machines for years, that most people weren't using most of the features on them. So they very much simplified the product. And after Telesensory did it and actually lowered the price of the products, then a lot of other companies all came along afterwards and did the same thing. So the products now are very simple, very understated, if you will. This unit only has a couple of buttons on it, and a couple of knobs and a couple of different buttons on it, and that's it. The unit has, again, below the screen, it has what's called an XY table, and we call it that because it moves front and back and left and right, or actually in all directions. It's actually universal. It moves anywhere you want it to, and that is because you can put the book or whatever you want to read on that table and then move the whole thing around. It doesn't matter as much with a brochure like we have today, but it does matter if you're looking at the New York telephone book or something large that's pretty heavy. It gets pretty difficult to slide that around without some help. And so this table is on bearings. It lets you move it comfortably from left to right, up and down, and you can also lock it. Now, Neil, where are we? Is this thing on with the smallest?
No, it is.
Okay, let's make it the smallest.
Okay, it is now.
Okay. What we have here is a copy of my brochure. Are we looking at the back of it?
Yeah.
Okay, with the thing on. Okay. This unit, and this is another interesting thing about low vision, which you may not have thought about. We talked about brightness and contrast and stuff earlier. Most people, when you say video magnifier, you think, well, the most important thing it can do is magnify, make things larger. Well, we used to think that, and most of the CCTVs or video magnifiers that came out until, only a few years ago, started at about 4x magnification. And then we came with some people who said, well, gee, that's nice, but it's too big. You said, too big? I said, yeah, I don't need all that magnification. I just need that nice bright picture and the contrast and stuff. It's too large. So the Topaz video magnifier starts its magnification at about 2.5. So you may be surprised to find out that somebody doesn't want it as big as you might imagine they do. So all the units now that you find on the market typically now start somewhere around 2 or 2.5 in size, because we found, again, that people just don't want them quite as large as that. Now this unit is a full color unit, which pretty much all the machines that are sold now are. Right now you have on the screen probably my picture or some part of it, and this is part of my brochure, and you have the print from the brochure. This is at the lowest magnification. This is on full color. Now as a person reads this text, you would move the table from right, move it toward the left as you move across the page. It may sound a little backwards. Remember, when you use a magnifying glass, this is probably one of the more difficult things that it takes people to kind of get used to. When you use a magnifying glass, you typically put your eye close to it and then you move it from left to right across the page, and you move your eye along with it. In this case, think of it the opposite way. What you're really doing is moving the page beneath the magnifier and holding the magnifier in one spot. So we move the page starting on the right side, we push it toward the left, which makes us, in effect, walk the print under the magnifying glass so it can be seen on the screen. Now, one of the things that I recommend somebody who has low vision do, there are features. One of the problems you have is when you try to read this, sometimes if you're moving it across the page, especially when you're new at it, you can get lost. All of a sudden, the line you were trying to follow, either you lost it, now you're reading the next line, or now you don't know where it went. They do make machines that have what's called line markers, which will bring up some little lines on the screen or block off the screen everywhere but that line for you to look at. And that's fine. I sell machines with that. But I find the best thing and the easiest way and the cheapest way to do it is simply put the line of print that you want to read right at the bottom of the screen. Use the bottom of the screen as a guide to keep the line straight. Move it across, and then when you're done with that line, you bring it back to the right. You push the table away from you far enough to get the next line into view, and then move it across that way. I think that's a simpler way. It is less controls. It doesn't require another knob to change or something like that. It is simply an easy way to keep track, and it's already on there. You don't have to pay for any extra features that way. Now, the other thing that you can see on this one is, well, actually all the new machines now that are like this have what's called automatic focus. So whatever we put under here will stay in focus. And if you put a big fat book under here or this one thin brochure under here, it'll be focused. We can turn that off, and you can do that, Neil. If you turn off the autofocus, now you should see, I don't know if it'll be clear enough on the camera or not, but you should see a little lock on the screen. Is it in the lower left-hand corner?
Yes, yeah.
Lower left-hand corner of the screen. That indicates that the focus is turned off. So if you put a fat book under here now, it'll probably be blurry because the machine will not autofocus. Now, why would you want to do that? Frankly, I don't even tell people necessarily to do this, but some people have a problem with it. The only time you would necessarily turn it off, there's really two times. One is if you are looking at something. I had one customer, for example, once who liked to collect and look at rocks, different kinds of rocks. And we found that if you put the rock under there, get it focused kind of the way you want it, and then turn off the autofocus, then you could move the rock around some and keep it basically at the same distance, and it would pretty much stay focused the way you wanted to. That's one thing. The other thing is if you try to write under this, say you put your checkbook under there, which I encourage all of you to do, and write me checks, but if you do that, if you put your hand down there to write the check, some people have a problem with the camera trying to focus on their hand rather than on the check or the contract or whatever they're trying to, or the letter they're trying to write. And so what you would do is you would put the page down just like Neil has here, turn off, once it's focused on it, just turn off the autofocus. Now it's going to stay focused on that single page or that check or that letter that you're writing, and then you can put your pen down there and write all you want to. It's much easier. Now, frankly, I don't think it's as big a problem as it used to be, because these cameras have what's called a good depth of field, meaning they stay focused even if you move from a little bit closer, a little bit further away. The focus isn't anywhere near as tight as it once was. So it's not as big a problem, but that can be an issue, so you can turn that thing off.
Carl,
Yes.
there's a question from Milt.
Okay.
He asks, how do I accommodate those with retinitis pigmentosa and the need to get the image smaller?
A couple of things to do. Retinitis pigmentosa, if a person is to the point where if they have to get the image that small, there's really not a convenient way to do it, because these machines don't make them any smaller than you're certainly not any smaller than the real image is. If a person has got to the point where they really need, if they can't read it unless it's smaller, it may be time to teach them something else, like to use a screen reader or to use Braille or something. It is not really easy to do. When people get to that point, and we'll talk about that a little bit today too, it's usually you think of it the other way, but there comes a time when it is time to look at other options besides low vision. And some people have a really difficult time with that because nobody wants to give up that. But at this point, I don't know of any other way. If it is really needs to be that small, the only thing they can do, of course, is hold it further away. And if their vision is pretty good in that little field, maybe they can read it. But it may be an issue if it's too small for them to read, and magnification doesn't help. You may need to either have them use speech or Braille. Other questions?
There are no more questions right now.
Okay. Okay, did you turn the autofocus back on?
Can?
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Now, a couple of other things. We're going to show you the size. There's the big knob on the front. The large knob changes the size. And as Neil turns it to the right, you'll see it clicks, and there are numbers on the screen now that should be changing. And as you see those numbers get larger, the image gets larger. Go ahead and go all the way to the top. Now that's pretty large, is it not? Okay, what do you see there? Just a word?
Just
The. This is the word the. This is about 75 times normal size. The actual numbers that you see on the screen are not related to the magnification level. They're simply related to which setting you have it on. They go basically up to 16. And that's the same with this one. This is a 19-inch. We make a 17 and a 22-inch in this. And so the number actually is the same. The actual image is larger on a 22-inch than it is on this one, but that number is just a number relative to the other numbers, so that it's not really magnification. If you have to use this thing at this magnification to read print, this may not be as efficient as you want it to be. Move that across, and you'll see you just see maybe one word at a time, or even part of a word at a time, and that may be too big. That may just not be efficient for you to do. So let's back it off to maybe about 6. Now that's the size. I also want him to show you the brightness. Right now we have a brightness control, which is the knob on the very left. As you turn that to the left, it's going to get darker. And as you turn it to the right, it's going to get brighter. If you crank it all the way up, it's probably way too bright. If you crank it all the way down, of course, it's going to be too dark. This, again, helps the low vision person to determine. Some people may like it one way, and you may look at it and think, good heavens, how do you read that? And to them, it's beautiful, because they just want that. They just want a little bit of brightness, but not too much. Certain eye conditions, lighting is just awful. Lighting can be your enemy in that, too. So put that back where it normally you would think it would go. He has his preferred place to put it. Now, the other thing we want to show you are the color changes. The Topaz unit actually will set up to 24 different color combinations. The default setting, when you get the machine out of the box, as we did today, there are 6 different settings that they put up here, and we'll go through those. Right now we should be on full color.
Yep.
You hit it the first time, we should be on, is it black and white?
It's the rest.
Yeah, this is high resolution black and white image. This is actually what a lot of people prefer to read with, because it gives you a true black and a true white. A color image doesn't quite give you a true black, and so the contrast is never quite as good as it is right here. And many of my customers, when you hit this, they think, oh yeah, now I can see that. That's very good. Okay, hit it again. What's next?
The black one.
Oh, this is a white print on a black?
Yeah.
Okay, now we have white print on a black background, which is also, some people really love that. I personally never did like it as well as the other, but some people really love this. Hit it again. Now what do we have?
Blue and apple.
Which one?
Blue and yellow.
Yellow print?
Yeah.
Yellow print on a blue background, another one I never particularly liked. But some people really love this because it's easy on the eyes. It's easier than some of the other bright ones. Hit it again. What's that one?
That's the green on black. Or green letter.
Green letters on a black?
Yeah.
This one is kind of like the old computer monitors, I guess, in a way. It's green print on a black background. Again, it's easier on some people's vision than the bright ones are. Hit it again. Now we're back to full color. Now there are 24 different combinations, and these 6 that they put on here, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, these 6 that they put on here are the most commonly used ones. Now we could turn on all the other ones. We won't do that today, but we could. Some of them are pretty bizarre, and you might look at them and think, good heavens, who wants to read purple on green? Or who wants to read bright red on chartreuse or some ridiculous color like that? You might find that certain low vision people just love it. And if you put that bizarre color combination up there, it is perfect for them to read. And so it's really something you can try. These, again, are the most common ones. Frankly, the people that I deal with I would say 90% of them prefer the the black print on a white background, that high contrast. What you have to watch out for is when you're looking at pictures on this, go to my picture and put it over on white on black.
We'll crank it down a little bit more.
Okay.
There's the high res.
Okay, now go to white on black. That doesn't look too good. Go to the next one. That's even worse. So you got to watch it when you're looking at pictures with this. You really want to look at full color. And full color is important for a couple of reasons. Even if you prefer to read with just black print on a white background, there are many things nowadays where color matters. There's maps. If you're a student in school, a map or a chart, or if you're a person at home and wants to look at your stock charts or other things, or catalogs with pictures in them of that particular sweater or that particular set of tools or whatever it is, that particular furniture, whatever you want to buy, the color can make a huge difference. And so, it used to be all we had was black and white, and you just had to use, that's the only thing you could do. So color can be very important for looking at those kind of things. But again, I think print, generally people like the black on a white. And one other thing I want to show you is the locator. One of the things, I'm not sure if this will be visible or not. We're going to try this. Sometimes when you are, specifically when you're trying to write something or if you're trying to read something and the print is fairly large, people get lost. They're looking at the camera and they think, where the heck is that thing looking? I don't know where I am. There's a little button below the size control which you can push, and it puts a red dot down on the page. I'm not sure if you can see this or not. If you're up there.
Yeah.
The red dot shines on the page exactly where the camera is looking. That's called a locator dot. What's funny is a lot of people, and I don't know why they chose red, because red seems to me to be the most common color that particularly people with macular degeneration can't see. So I have a lot of customers who can't see that even if you do turn it on. But if you can, it's very helpful to put that red dot right down there on the check where the line is to be signed and the place to write Carl Smith is. And, or if you're trying to read something in a newspaper and you're not sure where you are, you can put that locator dot right at the beginning of the article, then you can see where you're starting. And that can be very handy because it can get a little disorienting at times when you have the image fairly large. And I tell people that, you know, writing on one of these things is kind of like the way we used to score bowling in the old days. You know, you wrote on the page or on the plastic, and it showed up on the screen up on the wall. Okay, I'm thinking it's 3:35 already. Any questions so far?
Yes,
Yeah, who's that?
it's Sandy.
Oh, hi, Sandy.
Hi. You were mentioning that pictures were not good, and for those of us who couldn't see the result of your going back and forth through the colors and trying to read the picture, what happens?
Well, basically what it is it just looks totally strange. I mean, if you put, like black and white is all right because we do black and white pictures, and that's just gradations of darkness and light is how we make a picture that way. But if you change it to white on black, it looks a little bit like, I think of it like a Halloween mask. It looks a little bit like a negative when you take a picture. When you take a picture with a camera, at least in the old days before we used digitals, but in the old days, you had a negative which actually showed the image. If something was black, in reality, it showed up as white on the negative, and so it was backwards. If it's in some of the color combinations, I'm not quite sure how it decides. I mean, it might make my face yellow and maybe my beard blue, and I don't know what. But I mean, it just looks pretty bizarre, and it's not something that you really wouldn't use the color combinations on pictures. It just distorts them to the point where they're sometimes very difficult to even determine what they are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Are there other questions before we go on? Okay. I'm going to have Neil move over to the yes. Sorry.
Carl, I was just going to say there's no questions on the chat.
There's none? Okay. All right, I'm going to have Neil move over to the other desktop unit we have here. You can turn that one off. This one is a little different design. It has a different purpose, and it is again made by Freedom Scientific. It's called the Onyx. They like stones for some reason. This is the Onyx desk set system. This one has a 17-inch LCD flat screen monitor attached to it, and it has what we call a swing arm, which is a metal tube. It's tubular metal, which is in the shape of a print letter L, basically. It comes up and then angles over. And on the end of it is a camera. And the camera points down to the desk, to the brochure, which has my information on it, or whatever, or the check you're going to write to me can go under there. This device is designed for a couple of reasons. It is small and portable, or at least carryable. It has a handle on it. You could carry this from classroom to classroom, let's say if you're a student. It also has a rolling case that comes with it, so you can put the whole thing in a case, and kind of like the ones that people carry on airplanes, and you could pull it from place to place if you wanted to. It is a good product for that sort of thing, for portability. It does not have an XY table, which means that it is a little harder to try to move bigger objects around, such as large books. The advantage to this unit is this. Again, it's portable, but also you can point it around the room. So let's find something, and maybe point it over there at Heather or at the clock or something, and we'll do the clock. Heather will beat us if we point it at her all the time. So we can point
Hey,
this
Carl?
at the, yes.
Just a quick interruption. Ross asked, how much does the Topaz cost?
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. The Topaz, this particular one is a 19-inch. It is $2,895 plus shipping. The 17-inch model is $2,595. The 22-inch model, which is the largest we make, is $3,495. This unit over here that Neil is on right now, the Onyx desk set, it is $2,895 at this size. No, I'm sorry, $2,595 at this size. And like I said, this unit will let you point around the room. You can point it to the clock if you're in school, want to know when it's time to get out. You could point it, and I didn't realize how sort of undecorated this room we're in is, but you can point it at the blackboard where the teacher is writing. If you can't see the blackboard, you could point it at I think of if there's a map on the wall, or if you're studying the periodic table of elements. You can also point it at yourself, which may sound strange, but there are people who use these to point at themselves, to do things like your makeup, if you're a girl, other things that people might want to do where they can see themselves. Now, the thing about this unit is you can also, if you point that at the clock or something, we can also flip this image any direction we want. So the other advantage of this is, supposing we have a large, we have a group in class and we're all working on a big project. Maybe we're designing something, or maybe we're making a big wall poster, or we're making something that's going to go up on a bulletin board. You could point this camera sideways off to the object on the table, and then if you need to switch it around so you can see it right side up, you just push the button and switch the camera from. You can just switch the image from upside down, right side up, sideways, whatever you want. You can do that. You control the thing with a remote control. You can zoom it in, zoom it out. You can do all that stuff with the remote control. It's all controlled that way. It's really very easy to use and a very nice unit to be used in the classroom or at home. I have some people who would just as soon use one of these at home. If you did hand work or something like that. One lady I know wanted to know if she could use it for crocheting. I don't know that she ever will crochet with it, but she wanted to know about it. You could do that if you pointed it at your hands in your lap. You could do that. So that's what this unit is for. And like I said, this one comes in a 17 and 19-inch model. This one is the 17-inch model. Now, I'm sorry. Yeah, there is, and actually both these units have this, but this unit also has a freeze image on it, which can be handy if you let's suppose the teacher writes something on the chalkboard, and then you want to be able to write it down, and let's say they go and erase it, which they want to do sometimes. You can put this image up. You can freeze the image on the screen, so if they erase it, it's still there for you to copy off of there onto your paper if you want to. The Topaz actually has this feature as well. The newer ones do, and actually all of them will if you update them. But you can if you're looking at something like a pill bottle or a paper with a phone number. One of the problems some people have when the unit has an XY table, You get the phone number lined up, you go to reach and grab your phone, and you bump the table, and the phone number goes shooting off the screen, and now you got to go hunting for it. If you put the phone number under the screen, freeze it, then you can go grab the phone and you can dial it without having to worry about pushing it out of the way of the camera. And as soon as you start using the camera again or change the size, I turned that off, I thought. As soon as you change the size, it goes back to normal mode again. So you can freeze those images. Now, I want to show you a couple of other things quickly, then I'll go to my computer. There's a couple of small ones here. I'm going to have Neil just hold these up. You can see these. One of them is called, which one have you got there? Grab the Lookie first. The Lookie is actually not made by Freedom Scientific. I thought I'd show you one that isn't. It's not. It is a little tiny portable pocket-size handheld unit. It gives you color, just like full color. It gives you, I think it's black on white, blue on yellow. I forget all the colors. It gives you 3 or 4 color combinations like the big ones do.
It's color, high.
Okay, it's full color, black and white,
And full color.
and full. Okay, and what was the other one?
The high contrast,
Right.
black on.
Oh, white on black.
Yeah.
Okay, so it gives you full color, black and white on black. These units can be really handy, and for those who are wondering about the prices, this one retails for $495. It's probably the cheapest one I'm aware of that's like this. It's really handy if your low vision is not severe enough that you can't see it. It can be a problem, and that's just the nature of the low vision business, that this may not be good enough, but it gives you the brightness, the contrast, and the different color combinations that might help you as a low vision user. The nice thing about this one, you could take it with you to read a menu, read the price, go to the library, read the spine of the book, whatever it is that you want to do. You can also freeze the image on this, so maybe there's a price tag or something up on a high shelf. You can't quite read it, but you can reach up there with this, get the image in your camera, hit the freeze button, bring it down and look at it. Now there's another one which I don't have with me today, but it's called the Ruby. I ordered one, I don't have one yet. It's similar to this. It is made by Freedom Scientific. It has a different feature slightly than this one. It has the freeze frame, but you can put the image up there or put the camera up there, freeze it, and then if you bring it down, you realize, oh man, it's still too small to read. You can actually manipulate the size of that image that's frozen there. So you can make it larger and smaller even though you've got the image frozen after you've taken the picture.
Carl,
Yes.
who makes that first device that was just demonstrated?
The Lookie?
The portable, yeah.
It's a place called Western Digital something, or I forget. I order them from there. I think they come out of Korea, to tell you the truth. But I get them from, that's where I get them from. It's a place in California. I can't remember who makes them, though. But you can just call me. I'll get you all you want. The other one we have here, the other portable, is called the Opal. Again, Freedom Scientific loves rocks for some reason. The Opal is a little larger portable unit. It has some of the same features as the others do. It has different color combinations. The one thing it does have is it does have an adjustable magnification on it. So you can slide a little slide on the front there or on one of the ends, and it will make the image larger and smaller. And that again, if you have, I would say relatively not severe low vision, but relatively good low vision, these small units can be useful. It may be that it may be too small for some folks, but it can be very handy again for reading things on the go. Okay, lastly, I'm going to show you one more. I'm going to talk about screen magnification a little bit. Time goes quickly when you get in these things. I have one other unit here. This one is called the Onyx. Again, we have the same stone, but this is called the Flexarm PC. Now, what I'm going to do, they're going to try to zoom in on my computer screen here because we couldn't get the magic electronic way to work this today as we did last time. We discovered some things we'll have to put in our notebooks about how that doesn't work when you try certain things. This unit is designed again for people who, well, there's two ways. This is a Flexarm which has the arm connects to the table. It's a lot like those magnifying glasses that you've seen that have the round magnifier with the light and the magnifier in the middle. You can move it out and over the table, back around, it swings anywhere, and it clamps onto the edge of the table. This is like that. We make a version just like this that has the same camera configuration as the Onyx desk set does, only that doesn't have a monitor. It just has the camera on that little swing arm over there. That's called the Onyx swing arm PC. And so you could use that one, or you could use the Flexarm. Everything else is the same, it's just the camera. The advantage to this is it is a lot more portable. You use the screen on your computer as the screen for your CCTV. Now right now, I'm running full screen computer. I'm going to just switch over. I should be full screen camera now, is that right? Now you're seeing on my computer, you should be seeing what the Onyx Flexarm unit is seeing. The advantage to that is you can point it down to the desk, you can point it out to the room, and it gives you a very good flexibility. If you're, again, working on a large table full of information, maybe a drafting table, or maybe something that requires much larger than just a simple book would require, you can put this over an area, over a work area, and actually use it to see the image a lot better. I have full screen camera. I can do this. I have full screen computer. I can now do split screen, which gives me part of the screen is the camera, part of it is what my computer shows, and that can be switched around. I can have the computer screen be most of it and the camera be only a part of it. I can have the camera be most of it and the computer be part of it. I can change them from side to side, up and down, whatever I want. And I can do all the things with this one that I did with the other one. I can change the colors, I can change the contrast, I can do all those things and this is just running off my laptop. A couple of things about this that are nice, you can power it two different ways. One, you can power it by plugging it into the wall like anything else. Two, if you're out on the road somewhere, you can just plug a USB cable into your laptop and it powers the camera off the computer's USB port. So now the camera doesn't require any external power except what comes off your laptop or desktop. It doesn't have to be a laptop, but it can be either one. As long as you've got a computer with a USB port, you're fine. And it doesn't draw your laptop battery down horribly, although I wouldn't want to do this for hours and hours, but it certainly would be something you could use in a class where you didn't have to find another plug. Now the Flexarm is a little less portable than the swing arm is. As you see, the Flexarm has to be attached to the table. The swing arm, like on the Onyx PC, will just sit on its little base that you get with the PC version, and you can move it around a little bit easier. It doesn't have to be attached to the table. That's a disadvantage for the Flexarm, except that one of the advantages is it gives you a little more flexibility, if you will, to point to different things and gives you a bigger area to look at a little bit easier. A couple of things you can do with the Onyx PC version, either the Flexarm or the swing arm, because you're using the computer. Let's suppose you have in the classroom, let's suppose you have a periodic table of elements over here on this wall, you have a map over on that wall, and you have stuff the teacher's written down on this wall, and you have your paper on your desk. You can actually capture all those images if you want to. I could go in here and I could capture as many images as I want to, and then I can switch. I can switch quickly between the periodic table of elements, the map, the chalkboard, and my document on the table that I have. I can go live on the document, then I can go all to the images that I saved. So I can go over here to the table of elements, look at that, go back to my document, copy something back out, go to the chalkboard, copy down something that the teacher wrote, go to the map and look and see where a certain place is. All those images can be saved. Again, I can save hundreds of them if I want to, and then I can actually switch. I can keep as many as 10 of them ready to jump between them at any one time. I can jump between 10 at a time at any one time. So it lets me flip between those and save those images so I can have those open at the time in my class if I want to do that. And so it's really a very flexible unit. Again, I can also flip the image up, down, left, right, just like we did on the other one. And I can change the colors and all those things. So you could look at yourself, you could look at again, maybe a blueprint or something like that at any size or angle you wanted to. Point it out the window, see who's leaving school, you know, watch your neighbor, whatever you want to do, you can do that with one of these. I want to go because I see our time is moving quickly away here. Does anybody have any questions specifically about these things before I talk about computer screen magnification? Okay. Anything over there, Heather?
And no questions on the chat.
Okay. A couple of things about the Onyx series, that is the PC series. One thing it comes with as part of the price that you pay for it is a copy of the program called Magic. Magic is a screen enlarging program which I just started up on my computer. I have an earpiece in because I have JAWS running. JAWS and Magic are made by the same company, and so JAWS and Magic will run together with no problem. It lets me demonstrate a screen enlarging program when I can't see it. There are a couple of advantages to that. You can now granted, I wouldn't do it with this little laptop of mine which has a 12-inch screen. I don't recommend this because if you have low vision and you split this screen and you've enlarged it with Magic on one half and you've got the CCTV on the other, you're taking up an awful lot of real estate and you don't have that much to go with. And so I suspect we wouldn't ordinarily use a 12-inch laptop screen for this, but today we have to because it just would not be practical. But a screen enlarging program can do several things. The question comes up to me sometimes, how come I need this because I can just go into Windows and set up and enlarge things? You certainly can, and that there are some things in Windows and some features in Windows that allow that. Magic, however, has some features in it which do not exist or are easier to use and give you more flexibility than does the Windows screen or the Windows enlarging package. Now the default, as I have it set here, and you can change that, but I have it set right now, is 2. Now, are you looking at the screen now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to start making it bigger. Now, I'm up to 8 now. It's getting pretty big, isn't it?
Just the M's on there.
What's that?
Just the M. Well, it wasn't just the M on there.
What do you see now?
The number 16.
16. Is that pretty big?
Yeah.
Now, Magic goes up kind of unnecessarily so, I think, to 36. Can you see that 36 there?
No, it's moved.
Can you see any of it? Let me just go to the desktop. Can you see anything on the desktop?
Just M8C.
Now, as I said earlier, if you have to magnify your screen to 36 times, you better look at some other way to access the computer. If you really can't read it at that size, let me go over here and bring it down again. If you really have to magnify it that large, you should probably look at another way to do this, because really, once you get on any computer screen, once you get past about 8, this is 8. Now, how big? What do you see there now?
The 8. Some of the symbols.
Okay, this is 8 times. That's getting pretty large on most computer screens, unless you've got a large screen, 22-inch or 30-inch or something. This is going to take a lot of real estate. If you really have to have it this large, you may start wanting to look at some other access, maybe JAWS or something else to help you with that. I'm going to go down here to 2. I know whenever I run this program and Neil has to help me, he's like, turn it off. It drives me crazy. I can't find anything. And that's really true. It can be very difficult. Some things you can do with Magic, I will show you. I can do it has mouse enhancements. I'm going to turn those on. Now, I think you should be able to see the mouse here. If I can find it. I don't have a mouse hooked up here. Do you see the mouse on there, Neil? You don't. Well, let's see. You don't see it anywhere on there?
No.
I don't have it. Move it. See if you can move it with my see if you can bring it into the center of the screen. We weren't able to do what we wanted to do here. Did you get it there?
Yep.
Okay, what do you see there?
Well, if you move it around, you get the X.
Okay, I'll have Vanna do this for me because it helps to do this. There are settings here. As you move this mouse around, right now it is set to do this. you can set it for other ways. Magic is putting an X where the mouse is so you can see it. My wife has low vision, and she says to me, where did my mouse go? And so sometimes, I'm going to go back over here and change that. We can change the mouse enhancements. We can set it to be an X. We can set it to be a large cross, so it takes the entire screen if we want. We can also have it visible all the time. Right now it's visible only when moving, which is what we found here. That's the default. We can change the cursor color, the mouse color, the cursor shape, a lot of things like that. Those things are all configurable. We can change the contrast. We can do different color combinations on the screen or different tints for different visual acuities. I want to show you, though, a couple of things that make this product different than just magnifying with the computer screen. I'm going to go on the internet here, I hope. I think I can do this. I'm assuming I'm still connected. We'll find out. Okay, I'm going to go to USA Today. I'm going here because USA Today happens to be a very busy screen reader. I mean, busy web page, and come on, get me out of that. A couple of things that happen when you use a screen reader or a magnification product to read a web page or anything, it can get pretty, as you know, they're pretty busy. And one of the features that started out in JAWS, and let me just say a couple things about that before I do this. JAWS, as those of you who were here last time know, that it is a screen reader. That is, it assumes that you are totally blind and you can't see the screen, so JAWS talks a lot and gives you information that you want, sometimes that you don't want, but it gives you information off the screen. Magic, on the other hand, assumes that you have some vision and that what you need is the screen enlarged and the contrast changed, all those other things to happen. Magic, however, has two versions. One is magnification only. The other is magnification with speech. Now, the speech version has not as much speech in it as JAWS does, because again, it assumes you see the screen and that you only need the speech to give you assistance, maybe to read a long document or maybe to hear things that you just don't want to have to look at all the time. If I run JAWS and Magic together, as I'm doing now, JAWS and Magic know each other because they come from the same company, and Magic, when it sees that JAWS is running, it says, oh, okay, I won't talk anymore then. And so all of the speech functions of Magic are disabled because it knows JAWS is running. As soon as you exit JAWS, if you have the Magic that has speech in it, Magic says, oh, JAWS is gone, I guess I better start talking, and it starts talking. So the bottom line is, if you're going to buy Magic, and if you have or are going to buy JAWS, do not buy Magic with speech, because you're going to waste your money, because if you run JAWS, even with Magic with speech will stop talking and let JAWS do the talking. So that's what will happen here. Now, the thing that I wanted to show you on the internet is this. Low vision people have certain situations where things are difficult, especially on busy screens like the internet. Hunting down a link, where is it? Even if it's large, and especially if it's large and you're hunting around trying to find it, and you have to click around and look for it and drag your mouse around or whatever to find that thing. Back when JAWS first was introduced and when we first started really using the internet, JAWS came up with a feature called the link list. And what that will do is it will, and I'll show it to you in Magic. We'll assume it will work here. There we go. Now, you should see here now in the middle of the screen, all the links on this page have been brought together. In fact, I just listened to it. It says this is link 2 of 227. Now I have this list of links. I can up and down arrow. And you should see the highlight moving down the screen here. But I can also do some other things. This part right here is a Windows function. I have a list box here now, which is a Windows construct, which says if I have a list box, I can now look for things I know are there or I think are there. Let's suppose I want the weather. I can just type W. There's weather. I'm on the weather link now. If I hit enter, it'll take me to the weather. part of the page. Now, it is very handy for a totally blind person to be able to have that, but a low vision person also can have that information pulled together on the screen and allow them now to find the link that they want. And sometimes it can be a lot. If you've got 221 links, that's an awful lot of hitting the tab or an awful lot of arrowing around to try to find a link if you can't find it. Okay, this thing is yammering to me. These pages are very busy. Another thing that will happen if you're running JAWS and Magic together, I don't know who else is out there, but I know Sandy's on the line here, and this probably happened to her. She says, "Hey, excuse me, I'm having trouble with this web page. Can you tell me what's happening?" And the guy says, "Where are you?" And you say, "Well, I'm right there where it says such and such." And they say, "Well, I don't see that." You say, "Well, it's right there on that link that says so and so." "Well, where is it?" "Well, I don't know." It can be a problem because when a blind person looks at a web page, we're actually looking at it with JAWS, which is doing some things to the web page which is it's underlying, and you don't necessarily have to see it. With Magic, and actually JAWS 11 now, which will be out soon, if you run them together, you can put Magic on any magnification you want, preferably 1 in this situation. Let's suppose you have a sighted person, a blind person. If you ran Magic, if you have JAWS running, now you will see on the screen a little green box, a little highlighter that will follow around anywhere on the screen where the JAWS user is using. Magic and JAWS work together, so they follow each other. And so this little highlighter is there, and so the sighted person can say, "Oh, it's over there on the top left of the screen," and you don't realize, you don't know where the heck you are on the screen. It doesn't matter to me if it's at the top left or not. It's just I happen to know that's the link I want. This can be real handy for training, especially because if a blind person is using JAWS and they've got Magic running, and even if they don't have it magnified, they can still see that. So that's a feature which is really handy for screen reader and magnification users. You can also save things, like you can set Magic to be a certain magnification, a certain contrast, a certain color. You can set the speed of the speech if you have Magic with speech to a certain thing. And you can save those settings. So I can have settings for me. I can have settings for Neil over there. I can have settings for anybody else. And all I have to do is load their settings anytime I want to change all those settings. So I don't have to remember them or go back and reconfigure them every time I want to do that.
Carl?
Yes.
There's a question from Milt. He is asking, how would the sighted person help the low vision person in the case where the underlying information cannot be seen?
Let's see. Well, I'm trying to think about what you mean. You mean if a person, well, it's not that it can't be seen. It's that you don't necessarily know where JAWS is looking. I mean, you could probably see it on the screen, but the problem is either it may be that the blind person is reading it in one way. Sometimes buttons are like this. A button may say, this is an example I run into all the time. You may hit a button that says XY52349G29 button. And I haven't a clue what that is. Now, you look at it and it might say, in a graphic, it might say pay bill. And you say, well, I want to be on, this button says GX93924 or whatever. And you're wanting to find pay bill. It is not so much that the information is not there. It's just that you aren't necessarily sure where JAWS is looking. With Magic, you will see, of course, the sighted person. Typically, a person using Magic is more of a mouse user than a blind person is. And as you move the mouse around, Magic will track that mouse and be exactly where you want to be. So a low vision person and a sighted person don't have near the problem that a totally blind person and a sighted person do, because Magic tracks with the mouse just as a sighted person would do it. And you can see that button even if it doesn't say, even if JAWS reads it as 2693GXY button, you'll see it says pay bill on the screen. So it's a little bit easier with a low vision person than it is with a blind person, if you're running Magic. Because the interface is basically the same. You're both trying to do it with vision. I just have to have it bigger than you do. Other questions?
There's no other chat questions.
Okay.
This is Sandy.
Okay.
Could we just go back for a minute, because I was trying to unmute while you were finishing up with Onyx. How much is Onyx?
The Onyx desk set 17-inch that we have here is $25.95. The Onyx PC and the Onyx swing arm, which are the same thing except for the way that the arm connects to the, it's called the swing arm and the flex arm, those two things. Those are $28.95. Now they also come with a copy of Magic too, so the price of that software is built into that price. So you would get the copy of Magic along with that.
Right. Thank you.
Okay?
Carl?
Yes.
There's a follow-up question on the chat.
Okay.
To that just the question you barely answered from the chat. It says, so then how would you help the blind person? And he's referring to the question, how would the sighted person help the low vision person in the case where the underlying information cannot be seen? So he wants to know, so then how would you help the blind person?
Are we talking a totally blind person or a low vision person?
I think in this case, how to help the blind person. Because he asked, his first question was low vision, and the second question is referring to a blind person.
Okay, there's a couple of ways. If you're running Magic and JAWS together, then you will be able to, as I arrow around the screen or tab around the screen or whatever I need to do to move from one place to the other, you will see on the screen exactly where JAWS is looking, because Magic will be there and it will actually highlight with a little green outline of where it is. It has nothing to do with the highlight of a link or highlight of a button or anything like that. It only has to do with where JAWS is actually looking. Now, I don't want to get too highly technical, but when JAWS or Magic looks at a web page, basically what it does is when a web page comes into your computer, Magic or JAWS loads it into a special piece of memory in the computer where it can keep track of things. And so where it's actually looking is actually in that piece of memory in the computer. And so JAWS knows where the mouse pointer is or your cursor is. In JAWS, we have a thing called a virtual cursor. Okay, if you know on a web page, there typically is no cursor. There may be a mouse pointer floating around, but there's no cursor because you're not normally typing unless you're going to fill a form out or something like that. The virtual cursor is invisible to the sighted because it's typically for a blind person to use your arrow keys or other keys excuse me, to get around the screen. And the virtual cursor speaks with JAWS because that's what JAWS is intended to do. If you run Magic with that, then what you get is the same features. You get the spoken word with JAWS, but Magic then takes that place where the virtual cursor is and puts up a little green highlight or a green box around wherever it is to show you right here is where I am. So if you can see the screen and I can't, what you do is you say, well, right now you are right below the button we're trying to get to. And if I up arrow, you may say, all right, now you are on the pay bill button. Even though it might say 235XYZ button, that's the pay bill button, or that's the submit button, or whatever it is. You would do that as a sighted person. You'd be able to see that, and you could tell me, okay, you need to move up. Now you need to move to the left. Okay, now you're on the button, or you're on the link that we're looking for. So the information is really there. It's just that what we're trying to do is make it possible for a sighted person to be able to have the same interface that I do. As a blind person, the computer interface to me is really quite different in a way than it is to a sighted person. You look at the screen, and this is really hard sometimes for sighted people and blind people to understand. I had vision before, so I understand this to some extent. I have a friend of mine who has a GPS system. It's for the blind, and I have one too. And he says, I can press this button and do that, and I can find out stuff. But my wife can look at her GPS screen and say, oh, we're going this fast with this altitude, we're on this street, I can see up ahead of us is this, behind us is that, because vision is a very high bandwidth piece of information, a lot more than audio is. And so JAWS is very linear. Even though you move around on a very busy screen, we get information with audio very linearly, so it's much more different. But that's really the only thing that Magic does and JAWS together does, is helps to bring those two environments together so that you can see exactly where I think I am on the screen, or where JAWS is and where Magic is, and you can help me then find the place I need to get. And I hope that, I don't know if that's clear enough or not, but I'm not quite sure if that's the answer you're looking for.
The person that asked the question said that your answer does clarify
Okay.
what he was looking for.
Okay, I hope
And
so.
we do have one more question on the
Okay.
chat. Donnie asks, can you use Magic, OpenBook, and JAWS at the same time?
Yes, you can. Because they are, again, all made by the same company, Magic, OpenBook, and JAWS all know each other, and they get along well, and they're good friends. So when you run them together, they all are very happy together, yeah.
All right, that's all of the questions we have right now on the chat.
Well, that brings up something that I would like to know. Can you use Magic and Kurzweil and JAWS at the same time?
Let's find out. I just started Kurzweil. Now I've got about 5 things. Here we go. It's going. Okay, now the question I have, let me do this. Okay, now can you guys see print up there? I'm going to go over here to Magic. And I'm going to
Hey, Carl,
yes,
there's a comment on here that says that we've tried before with no success
to do,
to combine the programs that Sandy was asking. Sandy, was that you that asked that question?
you mean
It was.
Kurzweil? Let me ask you this. Do you see, is the print now larger than it was?
Yeah.
I'm running Kurzweil Magic. This system, which I actually don't have to keep running anymore, which is the one which we use to try to connect our monitor. I'm running about 5 things. I have Kurzweil running here, and I'm reading the manual that I opened up. That's working. Now the question I would ask you is, well, the main thing is to find out what versions of each piece of software are you running. I'm running the latest of all of them. It may be that you have an older version of one or one or more of them, or something. If not, I mean, I'm running it right now. It seems to be working so far. I don't have a scanner plugged in, so I'm not sure, but I can read the manual. I can change the size of the print with this. Now, the other thing in Kurzweil, there is actually the ability to change the size of the print and the color and other things from within Kurzweil if you don't run Magic at the same time anyway. So you can do that. If I'm not sure where your question is coming from, if it's somewhere within range getting there, I'd be glad to talk to you on the phone and see if I could help you solve your problem and help you out if I could. If there's an issue which we could consolidate, I would do that. Other questions? And Sandy, so far, Kurzweil seems to be doing what it's supposed to do. So, but I mean, nothing has crashed yet, but I'm running about half a dozen programs now, and it seems to be working. So I don't know, you know, if there's something that would crash it or not, but so far it seems to be doing what it's supposed to.
Thanks.
Okay, are there other questions about anything we've talked about so far, or anything else we haven't?
There is another question on chat.
Okay.
Donnie asks, do Magic and JAWS have profiles like OpenBook?
Trying to think. You mean? Let me make sure I understand what you're asking. I think I know. When you mean profiles, do you mean like settings so that I can set up? Like in OpenBook, I can say, all right, I want to scan images only. I want to recognize. I want to have the pages orientation detected. I want to have this, that, and I can save that as what I would call, say, large book scanning. So maybe I want to scan a 500-page book, and I want to scan images only to start with. Then I want to go back and recognize it after. Is that a profile that you're talking about in OpenBook?
Just waiting for a response
Okay.
from Donnie. He says that, like your custom settings.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not quite sure. I think I know what you mean. There are custom settings in both JAWS, Magic, well, and in OpenBook, and you can set those up to however you prefer them, and you can save them to have them that way. You can also, if you are on a like a Vista or XP system, if I have 5 users on that machine, I can set each person's settings up to however they want them. So if this person doesn't want JAWS or anything at all, they can log on and it won't be there. If I do, then my JAWS will come up the way I like it. If Heather wants it and she wants Magic and doesn't want JAWS, then it'll come up with that. If that's what you mean, you can do that. I don't know for sure. Now there are settings, of course, within Magic and JAWS that you can change how much speech you're going to get, whether the mouse pointer will be larger or not, or whether the cursor will be a different color, whether the background color will change. All those things, you can set those up and save them so that you can then bring them back later for for different people's preferences, if that's what you mean.
Looks like he got some clarification on that.
I hope so. I hope I try to do that if I can. We're getting down to the wire here, and it's about 20 after. If there are other questions or comments or things that you'd like to know about anything to do with what we talked about today, or about something I might help you with other than this or whatever, please feel free to ask. Otherwise, we're about done. Let me give you my phone number if you would like to call me. You can call me toll-free at 866-824-7885. That number will find me wherever I am. It will ring whichever phone I happen to be using, so you might get me on my office, you might get me on my cell phone, you might get me anywhere, but that will find me the fastest way. You can call the office number, which I don't even give out generally because that's not as easy as this one. You can also email me at karl@axistech, that's AXISTECH.net, if you have a question. And I would be happy to help you if you have problems or would like me to come to a school or wherever you are and help you with equipment, either to hopefully buy large quantities of it or help you to if you have problems, or I can help you on the phone. Whatever I can do, if I can help you get something working that's not, or help you to decide what equipment will be best for you or your students or anyone else, please feel free to call me. That's what I try to do as much as I can.
Carl?
Yes.
First of all, do you mind repeating your email one more time?
It's KARL@AXISTech. That's AXISTECH.net.
And then there's another question.
Okay.
Donnie's asking, can you get a demo version to show any of these programs during an eval?
Yes, you can. There are the quickest way to do it. Well, a couple of ways. I can send you discs if you want. You can call me or email me. I can do that. You can also go to www.freedomscientific.com, and you can download a demo copy of JAWS or Magic or OpenBook, and you can install them on your machine. They will run. I think JAWS runs 40 minutes at a time. Magic, I think the demo, I'm not sure if it runs 40 minutes or a week or two now. They've done it different ways. And OpenBook will run for so long. Also, Kurzweil 1000, just as a sidelight here, I can send you a disc. They don't have a downloadable demo of that, but I can send you a disc. That one runs 30 days in full mode. It'll just warn you every time you start it that if you don't register it, it's going to expire, and it will if you don't register it. But it will run in full mode for 30 days. So there are demo programs, and I can help you get those if you don't want to download them all. Okay, anything else?
I don't see any questions on the chat, but if anybody thinks of any questions in the meantime, I can wrap things up if you're done, Carl.
I'm done for now, unless somebody has a really burning question that they haven't had answered yet. I appreciate all of you who logged on, and hopefully most of you stayed on. And if you have questions, please call me. I appreciate the fact that we were able to do this. I'm getting a little more comfortable now working in the room with 3 people in it or so. So if we ever need to do this again, I'm happy to do it whenever they would like me to come.
Carl, there is one more question.
Okay.
How do you renew the demo?
You remove the demo by going to, well, in XP, you go to Add or Remove Programs and uninstall it. Or the other way, you should be able to go, if it's JAWS, for example, you go to the Start menu, go to Programs, go to JAWS 10 or 11 or whatever it is that you've loaded. And if you go under Tools, you will find an Uninstall JAWS. You can uninstall it that way. Magic has the same thing. If you don't find those, you can just go to Add or Remove Programs and do it that way. Uninstall the demo. Actually, the JAWS demo, if you install it, and the Magic demo is the same, and then you decided you really like them and you want to buy them, which of course you would, and you'd all call me. Once you do that, all we have to do is give you an authorization code, and you can activate those products right away, so they're full products. And you'll also get CDs and stuff. You can get those in the mail, but we could do it right away. But that's all you have to do to uninstall them. Is just go to Add or Remove Programs, and it's similar in Vista. I think it's under Programs and Features in Vista. I think is where that is.
Actually, I asked the wrong question. Sorry about that.
Okay.
How do you renew the demo or use it again?
How do you say that again?
How do you renew the demo?
Oh, renew it.
Yes, sorry about that.
You don't. If you put it on one machine, you don't. They won't let you put it on twice.
You can't continue using it?
No. Once it expires, you can't. Now the JAWS demo, and I haven't put a Magic demo on for a while. The JAWS demo will run for 40 minutes at a crack. So every time you reboot your machine, you've got another 40 minutes, and that'll go on forever. So you could do that forever. The Kurzweil product, after 30 days, it just goes away. You can't run it anymore. I mean, it's there, but it won't let you run it. OpenBook, I haven't done a demo of it lately. I guess I should, but I have them on my computer, and I just don't put demos on very often. It may be the same, but on JAWS and Magic will run, and you can just run them in demo mode forever. But like I said, you usually have to reboot your computer in between runs, so it's a little bit of a nuisance if you're trying to do a long thing. But if you're doing something that's only going to take you a few minutes, 40 minutes is plenty of time to do certain things.
All right. Well, I just have a few things to wrap up with.
Okay. Could I say one other quick thing?
Go ahead.
If you have a lot of machines, you want to put JAWS and Magic, and of course we all hope you do, hundreds of them. You can get a thing called a dongle. I have one here, right here. I don't know if you guys can see this or not. This is a little USB dongle, and basically what it is an authorization key. And so if you had JAWS on, say you had 50 computers and you had a couple of students that might use any one or two of those computers, and you didn't want to buy 50 copies of JAWS, which is unfortunate, but if you did, you could buy dongles. The dongle's $45. That gives you take that dongle with you, and whatever computer you plug it into, if it has JAWS in it, if you've loaded a JAWS demo, or Magic has the same way, or OpenBook does, you then plug this dongle in, and whenever you run the program, when it sees that dongle, it's a full-featured program, and it runs forever until you take that dongle away. So a lot of times we use it, dealers and things, if we go out and work on machines that don't have JAWS on them, you can install a demo and then plug that dongle in, and it becomes my copy, and it remembers all my settings and everything, and then I can just unplug the dongle and go away, and it becomes a demo again. So that's something that you can also do if you happen to need it on more than one computer. You can take that dongle. Okay, I'm done.
Thanks. Was there another question? Thanks, Carl. This was really great. Just to wrap things up, I wanted to remind everyone, if there was anybody that logged on late to the training, to please fill out an evaluation. I emailed them out. The evaluation is also available in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. Just click on UATP
AT demonstration evaluation form, and the return instructions are included on the evaluation. And if neither of those ways of receiving the evaluation will work, let me know. Also, I wanted to let you know that this training will be archived on the Utah Assistive Technology Program's website, and when that is posted, I will send out an email letting everybody know. Oh, and one more thing on the evaluation. If there's more than one person watching the training at one computer, please, everybody fill out an evaluation. And then our next online training will be held on November 18th. And we'll have representatives from Assist, and they do home modifications and accessible design. They're a nonprofit organization, and so there'll be representatives from Assist on November 18th. And I will be emailing out more information here within the next week or so about that training. So if there are no other questions, we are done. Thanks so much for participating today.